Welcome back to Stones and Bones. Only 8 months after she came to England, and already with child by the king, young Queen Emma faces a catastrophe that will change everything.
You're next. Burly men-at-arms sneered as her family was dragged from their beds, flung down on the dusty street, her blood-curdling screams drowned out by her tears and the taunts of her tormentors. She looked up. Through dirt and blood, she saw men, women, children running hard, running from death, pursued through the streets of Oxford by men with swords, spears, and axes, stabbed and sliced as they fled the horror. Men, women, children brutally slaughtered, neither age nor sex spared. Even women took part, falling on their helpless foes, attacking unarmed Danes with swords, scythes, and reaping hooks, maiming those they could not kill. Wholesale butchery, no mercy, none. Fraught to escape the savagery, the Danish settlers sought asylum in the church of St. Frideswyde. Fleeing Danes pulled doors off the bolts to gain entrance. Others cut down cruelly. Those who found refuge inside the sanctuary were burned alive. Stench of human flesh like burnt meat, scorched hair like brimstone, corpses bloated and foul-smelling, filling the air and the nostrils with odors sickening and sweet, so thick and rich they could almost be tasted. Oxford, city at the crossroads, funeral pyre of blood and ashes. Massacre, ordered through secret letters by royal decree to every city, commanding the English at an appointed hour to destroy the Danes with fire and sword, by order of Ethelred the Unready, King of England. But the woman met her fate with courage as she saw before her eyes the slaughter of her family. Noble lady who had settled happily in her new Saxon country, married to a Saxon chieftain with 2 fine sons. Gunhild, beautiful, brave Gunhild, Danish princess. She looked up from the ground. They were coming. Before she could act, before she could shelter her children, the godless assassins were upon her. Straining against their grasp, overpowered and helpless, she watched her family cut down. Then they turned on her. "Our blood will be at the cost of all England," she cried. Felled by thrust of a lance, Gunhild lay dying in a great pool of blood. Reaching up a last time, she cried out once more, "God will punish you, and my brother will avenge my death." He would, for he was none other than Sven Forkbeard, King of Denmark, fierce lord of the Viking world. November the 13th, Friday the 13th, 1002. St. Brice's Day, favorite holiday for both noble and peasant, with great festivals held throughout England. A wonderful day of bathing in the River Thames, relaxing on the banks and in the groves, games and feasts in every town and village. November 1002, less than a year after Emma of Normandy came to England. On the faith of a treaty with King Ethelred, many prominent Danes were living in England and had married Saxons with children of both bloods. For years, feckless King Ethelred had bled his Saxons dry with heavy tax for the Danegeld, money paid to the Vikings to go away. But of course, they came back. More tax, more Danegeld, and more Danes. The King of England lived in constant fear of the descendants of his enemies, the Vikings, now entrenched in the heart of England, and entrenched in the heart of the king, an ever-deepening hatred of them. He could not be persuaded that the Norse settlers were peaceful. To him, they were invaders who never put to rest their firebrands and daggers. "Weeds among the wheat," the king would bellow. "They must be pulled out and thrown to the fire." There wasn't a wild story he didn't believe. Like trade ships from Denmark smuggling weapons, swords and axes hidden under skins and furs or stashed among the goods. His guards were ordered to search every ship that docked. No matter if weapons weren't found, the king knew they were there, somewhere. It's been said that madness has no purpose or reason, but it often has a goal. And Ethelred the Unready certainly had a goal. It seemed the only person not at odds with the king was the kingmaker, Godwin, Earl of Wessex, whom we've met before. It was inevitable that one day Godwin's Saxon loyalty and Emma's Norman loyalty would be put to the test. Our Lady knew that her first day in England. What had Alwyn told her before their journey across the sea? Perhaps she was the gateway for the Normans to enter England. But the kingmaker could not take that chance. It would be Saxons or Normans. No doubt for him which one. It was a stormy night when Earl Godwin returned from Oxford and a meeting of nobles. Oxford, since Roman times, a key hub at the crossroads of major Roman roads. Godwin shook the rein from his cloak and entered Winchester Palace. "I'm surrounded by treachery," the voice of the king filled the air. "You're the only man in England I can rely on." The Earl of Wessex smiled slyly and bowed low. "My king," he said, "the invaders never stop their hunger to take your kingdom. The nest of traitors is in Oxford, with a bold plan to assassinate you and your nobles. We are all in danger." "Where did you obtain this information?" the king asked with suspicion. "My usual sources." "Well, Godwin, what do you suggest?" "Sire, with shrewd and careful planning, you can get rid of the whole race." "Ridiculous!" the king shouted. Godwin stood calmly. "I have formulated a plan to do away with both the Danegeld and the Dane." The king moved closer. "I'm listening." "By marriage, you have Duke Richard on your side. He will not dare raise arms against you, for he will not want harm to come to his daughter. Pull the weeds from the wheat, and you eliminate the Viking foothold in England. No more spying, no more treachery. You will be rid of all your enemies at once." "The plan would never work," the king scoffed. "The Danes would warn each other." "Not if you act on the same day, the same hour. No time for warnings." "But how, Godwin, how?" "Letters, my liege. Secret letters to every noble in every town and village. Letters with a decree to order at an appointed day and appointed hour for justice to fall on the enemies of England." "Justice, my dear Earl?" "Purge them." And so Ethelred the Unready, King of England, ordered a general massacre of all Danes throughout his kingdom. Kill the Danes, kill them all. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records the massacre of St. Brice's Day and the coming of a young Norman princess not long before. And Tharum Deum Comseola Eftige Ricarde Datur Hider de Lande. And in the spring, the lady, Richard's daughter, came to this land. No one could have foreseen that November day that nightfall fast approached. Nightfall for the Saxon dynasty, nightfall for the Saxon world. Ethelred's purge became complete, not of the Danes, but of his kingdom. No more reclaiming life from blood-soaked soil. No more would Vikings come to raid and trade. This time, the Vikings would come to conquer. Gunhild's murder in the St. Brice's Day massacre became the flashpoint for the unthinkable, the Viking conquest of England. Saxon glory was falling fast to Saxon dusk as England sank beneath the Danish yoke. For a cold north wind was blowing, a frigid wind from the fjords of the ancestors of Emma of Normandy, and nothing was going to stop it, not now. Who would be standing when the winds had passed? For up until then it was all a game. Now it was the real thing. Only a few months after she arrived in England, Emma was with child by the king. After the massacre, her honeymoon was cut short, literally. Her all too brief love affair with her husband had ended. How she must have asked herself, "How in the world did I get here? This isn't why I came. This isn't what I wanted. I'm only 18, my next birthday, bound to a man twice my age, a man I barely know, with children as old as I. Shipped off to a country not of my choosing, compelled to leave everything I loved, my relatives killed or across the sea. Now I'm with child by this old man. I am a pawn, just an alliance to stop a war that now will come. Is this what it means to be a queen? So if I'm to live in hell all my life, I will get something for it. My son will be king by whatever means necessary, no matter who or what stands in the way. How will I make this happen? I do not yet know, but I know I will, and I will know before I die that I might not win, but I will not lose.
We invite you to share Stones and Bones with those who love history, those who love all things medieval and Viking, those who love all things royal, and especially those who love stories of strong and influential women in history. Please like and share the Stones and Bones podcast on your social media. Next time on Stones and Bones, nightfall is coming.